Perform search performs the actual search operation. Initially, as it starts, we add a back command to return to the previous form. This is a generic call since we do this in several forms and the method implementation is pretty trivial. The infinite scroll adapter provides us with a callback when a container reaches the end of the scrolling area. It then allows us to fetch more elements so we can keep scrolling or indicate that scrolling reached the end. In the run callback for the infinite scroll, we fetch more elements using the method fetchPropertyData. That method connects to the server and passes the data. It also performs the caching of results. Data is JSON structured, and it's passed into a hierarchy of lists and maps. This allows us to traverse that data easily and pull out the data we need. We only check error codes in the first page of responses, mostly for simplicity. A 100 error code indicates no listing, so we can just return an error by going back. Notice we don't need to stop anything, since going back will remove this form and current infinite scroll requests. A 200 error code means we got back some alternative spelling for locations. So we get the locations object and send it back to the main form. As you recall from the previous section, we can handle it there. Here is a simple 200 response code from the API. Notice the locations entry is an array that includes several objects. So when we get the location, it will return a list that includes map objects with strings mapping to the individual entries. For a proper non-error result, we fall out of the if statement and can start adding components into place. This is how a proper JSON response would look. The result entry, which is the main thing we traverse, is just a list of entries, each of which is a map. Notice that we also have properties of interest, specifically the total pages and total results, both of which we need to use to know when the end was reached. As you saw from the JSON, we need to extract the page information so we can both update the title of the form while scrolling and know how far we can scroll. The infinite scroll works by adding an array of components every time the run method is invoked. We create this array here and then fill it up with components based on the JSON result. Every one of the keys here maps to a JSON entry within the result. Notice that in order to show an icon next to the listing, we use the URL image class, which fetches an image asynchronously. This class shows a placeholder image, which is then replaced with the downloaded image. The downloaded image is cached in storage under a unique name, for which we use the GUID variable. If the image size differs from the size of the placeholder image, the URL image will implicitly scale it based on the past rule. We can now add the new components into the infinite scroll using add more components call. Notice that it accepts a Boolean value to indicate whether this is the last page. We also need to update the title with up-to-date values for the number of entries.